On behalf of the Dhanbad Camera Club and on my own behalf, I welcome the legend of pictorial photography, that is Shri Sushant Banerjee ji. I am very sure coming across your masterpieces, photographic images, and your philosophy, we will learn a lot. I have a long, long association with Sushant Da. He's like an elder brother to me, and he also considered me as his younger brother. He's always a source of inspiration, not only for me, for many, many other people. The list of his credentials and achievements is so long that it may take more than an hour. So I briefed and shortened it to fit in our time schedule, friends. It is a great pleasure and privilege for me to introduce and say something about the living legend, Mr. Sushant Banerjee, whom lovingly we call Monduda. Born in 1944, he is an electronics engineer by profession and retired as a general manager in Research Engineers Limited, an USA based organization. As a sound engineer with HMV, he had the opportunity to work with many, many famous singers, music directors, filmmakers of our country. He recorded sound for many films made by late Sri Satyajit Ray. He is well known that all the finest form of human self-expression through the medium of literature, visual art, or music are within the purview of aesthetics. And who does not know that aesthetics is a part of philosophy, the philosophy of life, its delicate balance, have moved the artistic soul of the legend called Sushanta Banerjee. To cultivate photography as an art form, Sushanta Banerjee ji joined Photographic Association of Dum Dum in 1970, passed the certificate course in 1971, and received his diploma in photography in 1973, and started creative work and participating in salons. Soon, Mr. Sushant Banerjee became a renowned photo artist not only in India but throughout the world. He has bagged many medals and awards and number of reproductions in the various salon catalogs. He received awards from more than 20 countries spread all over the world. Mr. Susanta was bestowed the associateship of the Royal Photographic Society, that is ARPS, in 1982, and its fellowship, that is FRPS, in 1985. Within the 3 years, he got the fellowship of Royal Photographic Society of Great Britain. He received the distinction artist from Federation International DL Art Photography, which is affiliated to UNESCO in 1978, and its excellence, that is IFIEP, in 1987, friends. And the most coveted honor in photography, that is the Master Federation International de l'Art Photography in 1992 for his outstanding contribution to creative photography. And then, friends, PSFIEP, Excellence Service to FIEP honor in 2004. He was conferred with the prestigious honorary FPAD, honorary fellowship of uh, PAD in 2007. Some of his photographs are preserved in the permanent collection in photographic museums of Italy, Austria, Argentina, and England. He is honored with the life membership of Photographic Society of Bengal. In his creative life as a photo artist, he is respected in India and abroad as a philosopher of photographic art, whose central theme of work evolved around the eternal episode of life and death. His majority of creations are by the technique of photo montage, which is a very difficult one to master. And Mr. Banerjee is considered to be one of the best in India in this in his experimental procedure and one of those few in the world to reckon with. He allows the process of combination printing, not cut and paste method, to maintain the highest possible photographic quality in his creations of montages. He has served as a member of jury in different national and international salons, not only in India but abroad. He was also invited to England to become one of the jury member in the Surrey Salon of Creative Photography, friends. His articles on photography are published in the Journal of Royal Photographic Society, Federation of Indian Photography's Journal Viewfinder, and in the proceedings of the International Conferences of Photography or organized by PAD. He is also a co-author of the book Experimental Photography. He was the vice president of the Premium Photographic Society of India, Federation of Indian Photography from 1996 to 2001, and its president from 2016 to 2020. To a meticulous viewer, Mr. Sushanta Banerjee's photographic creations is an experience to keep in the treasure vault of memory where lyric beauty and sovereignty converge to evaluate the soul. So, friends, we again welcome Mr. Sushant Banerjee, the living legend of photography of our country. Over to Mukesh ji.
Thank you, sir, very much. Friends, let me brief you. Before Dhanbad Camera Club, in 90s, Dhanbad had another club, probably Moitra sir will tell you, Dhanbad Photography Association, probably. And that Dhanbad Photography Association conducted various national and international salons in Dhanbad. During one of the salons, our guest today, Sushanta Banerjee, he was invited as a member jury. So I will request now Swarup Mitra Sahab to say a few words from the memories what he had during his visit to Dhanbad. And let me introduce our Swarup Mitra. He is our patron of Dhanbad Camera Club. Over to Mitra.
Thank you, Mukesh ji. We had one club, Photographic Association of Dhanbad. It was PAD, and we had many occasions. It was not the only occasion, but we had many occasions. Sushanta, our Montuda, came to Dhanbad. We had wonderful time with him. I do remember his photographs. A class gentleman, Sushanta, I do remember him. He's really honorable person. His depth of knowledge is more than Pacific Ocean in creative photography. I do cherish my memories with Montuda so many times. In one occasion, I had privilege to sit with him as a jury in one of the salons in Dhanbad. I wish all the success and long life, Sushanta. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mitra Sahab.
Over to
we are really very happy that you could spare some time and you came here. It was really, we are privileged to have you here tonight. Now, regarding Sushanta Dada, today, if I can say, he looks as young, as energetic as Devanand we have seen in the movie. And Sushanta Dada has got a lot of things in his career. He has done a lot of things, good things. Just to name a few, because I wanted to collect his complete description year-wise. So to add to the introduction given by our Chief Advisor Anil Desal Singh sir, I will add some more lines here. In 1965, although he was born in 1944, in 1965 he joined his master's voice that we know everyone in India. During that time, through his master's voice, he used to record sounds of Satyajit Ray films. Then in 1968, he started with analog photography. And that time, I think he started with just point and shoot photography, but later on he became the master of the photography. And in 1970, he felt that he needs some kind of education to grow further in this field of photography, art photography. So he joined PAD, that Photographic Association of Damdam. Today only I knew that we also had a PAD in Dhanbad. So I'm so happy. I'm so glad. And at the same time, the kind of internal, you can say, zeal to learn more and more. He started also doing electronic engineering through correspondence, that is AMIE. And then he completed his electronics engineering degree in 1973. Now, 2002 only, he started digital photography. And today, we know the kind of montage he does, it's really mind-blowing. I will show some of the memories with Satyajit Ray and a few photographs from his MPF set of images. Just I will share my screen. This is the old memory with Satyajit Ray. I think the man holding the mic is Sushanta Dada.
Yeah.
Santoda?
Yes.
Am I correct? The young man holding the mic. Yes. Yeah. You are looking like Manoj Kumar here. Yeah, Satyajit Ray and this young Sushanta Banerjee. So handsome. Another clip from the old memories with Satyajit Ray. Yeah, this is the class. Now also a few of his images from MPF set of images. Yeah. For MPF, he submitted 20 set of 20 images. Out of 20, only few will be able to see today. Rest he will show during his presentation. You can see the kind of visualization he has done to produce such kind of amazing art. Second, wonderful. And I think all these are from the analog era. And the post-processing during analog era was really very tough. Not like today what we do in digital era with the help of Photoshop. The class.
Beautiful.
Yes. So now we have seen the visual images to know about him much more. Although I wanted to ask a lot of questions from Sushanta Banerjee because He's such a legendary photographer. Even if I ask 1 or 2 or 3 questions, it won't be complete. But today, I will ask only one question from him, because that is very important for we all participants to know his thoughts behind this question. To create montage, we need to go through pre-visualization and post-visualization. This is the fundamental of a montage technique. Sushanta, what are important factors to consider from pre-visualization to post-visualization? Because the kind of your pre-visualization, your every image tells a lot about the pre-visualization and post-visualization. Please brief us a bit.
Yes.
Sushanta. Someone can help me in translating it in Bengali so that Sanuda can know the question very well.
Yes, yes.
You
I
got it?
understand you. I can hear you.
Yeah, fine. Fine, sir.
You wanted to know regarding pre-visualization and post-visualization, isn't
Yes,
it?
sir. Yes, sir. You got it. Yeah.
Pre-visualization is when you want to do some montage, we go through our negative or the images I have already taken. And is there any possibility to combine two images so that I can get a full image or expression I want to express through my photograph? So this is the pre-visualization. I have already got the images and the images are there with me. I combine them. This is post-visualization. And the images I am to make again for my completion of the expression is called post-visualization. Possibly it is just opposite. Sorry, post-visualization is I have already got all the images, all the negatives, and I go through those negatives and select the negatives which may be complemental to the others, so that a full image or expression we can get. That is post-visualization. At pre-visualizations, I have some imaginations in my mind, and I am to look for the images and got the images and somehow combine them and make the final image. This is the actually visualization. I actually visualize image which I imagine in my mind. This is a bit difficult. And post visualization, you have already got the images. You can put two images side by side and get the impression how much you can go through that image and what are the things you have to make so that you can forward your expression and reality of that image is far behind that thing. It may be a real image or absolutely a imaginary image, which may not be possible in real life. So it may be a imaginary or a creative image in some other form. So this is the form, this is the theory behind the pre-visualization and post-visualization. Any question?
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Today really we got our concept very clear regarding the pre-visualization and post-visualization, and the images we have seen as a part of set of MPF. I have seen your thoughts behind the not only pre-visualization, but your thoughts with the post-visualization is very important, and this is marvelous work you have done it. Now we'll move further. Joel Sandeep, are you here from Nikon? Joel Sandeep?
Hello, anybody from Nikon is present here?
Joel Sandeep, are you here? I think he has not come. He will come afterwards. Okay. So now we'll proceed further, because Joel Sandeep was to present today something very new, not about the camera, not about the Nikon camera. He will present shortly when he comes here about the type of commercial photography, how the commercial photography we can do it. Okay. So now after he comes, we'll ask him to show his presentation. Now the time has come to go ahead and see the power-packed presentation by our legendary photographer, Sushanta Banerjee. So now I will request Sushanta Banerjee to share his screen and start giving his presentation. Over to Sushanta Dada. उनको बना दिए co-host?
Sir, screen will be shared by me.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Today, because of some technical problems, the slideshow will be done by our secretary Arun Kumar Banerjee, and on every images and on every frame, Sushanta Dada will narrate the things to us. So over to Arun Kumar Banerjee and Sushanta Dada.
Hello.
Yes.
Is it visible now to all?
Yes, visible.
Yes, visible.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Sushanta sir, just you have to say next for the next slide, okay?
Okay.
You can go through the slides and you can have your...
Just a minute, 1 minute. I have made some program as is your PowerPoint presentation. So the images can go on and the text is also there. Whenever you feel something, there is ambiguity, you can ask me and I can explain that. Otherwise, it can go. And if it's sufficient pause, you can go to the next image.
Sure.
Okay, so let's start.
म्यूट करो
आदित्य सर फोन कुछ है
अभी फोन को रिसीव मत कीजिए किसी का भी
There is some essential and very special statement in the slides, and we all can go through.
I will brief all the participants. His complete presentation is being recorded. So even if you miss some slides to read the text, don't worry, you will get the link on the YouTube. Please go ahead. Anyone who desires to ask any questions on any of his images, he's free to ask, but please be in precise and brief.
Next.
If any participants has any question regarding these statements which are being shown here, he may ask Sir Sushanta sir for that, and he will explain.
Next.
Sir, Sushanta sir, I will request you to explain this statement because I am very much interested personally about this statement, how to see without camera and with camera.
Yes, it is there. In the following images, following statements, you will get the differences. Just next slide. Go to the next.
Good evening, everyone.
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yeah, Joel.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Okay. Wait. Now, let his presentation get over. Then I will over to you.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Sushanta da.
Yes. Human vision is selective and subjective. Is it clear?
Yes.
Selective and subjective. Whenever we point our eyes to something, we see that thing only, not the environment of the subject. And whereas photovision is objective. Whatever is there in front of the lens, we can see, or the camera can take all the images there. But it is human vision is influenced by the other senses. But photovision is not affected. If there is, suppose I am going to take a snapshot of something, a flower, the smell of the flower doesn't may affect me, but it doesn't affect the camera. Its senses are, our senses are not affected by our photovision. Is it clear?
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
A stereoscopic human view can perceive depth directly, whereas photovision is monoculture.
Pradeep sir, mute yourself, Pradeep sir.
आप सबको म्यूट कर दीजिए, जो रिक्वायर्ड नहीं उनको म्यूट कर दीजिए प्लीज.
Yes.
ଘରେ ତାର ଏକ୍ସଟେଣ୍ଡ ହେଇଗଲା ଯୋଉ ତାରିଖ କଣ ଗୋଟେ
प्रदीप पंडा साहब
ଆଉ ଟିକେ
म्यूट कीजिए अपने आप को.
The angle of vision of our vision is unaltered. The photovision is changeable using lenses of different focal length. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
In very dim light, human vision is weak or lost totally. In dim light, photo vision is available even in no visible light. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Our vision changes automatically with changes of brightness or contrast. The iris, the iris of our eyes changes accordingly. In photo vision, an under or over exposure may occur. Whatever our eyes changes or accommodates, the camera cannot accommodate that thing.
Right, sir.
In human vision, mild changes of color of light makes no difference. In photo division, color correction is required along with incident color of light. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Next. Next. Oh, the eye sees color as color. The black and white seems color in different shades of gray. Colors of equal brightness give out same shades of grayness and it is confusing. Is it true?
Yes, sir.
The photographer is to use color filters to make the differences in brightness so that in other shades of gray we can see that color. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Our eye has a perceptible lag of 1/10th of a second. We cannot perceive objects moving at very high speed. You see, using this concept, the movies are invented. Film, cinema, video, all these are based on this perception. The lag of 1/10th of a second of our eyes. Photography can stop objects at very high speed. Even the speed of a bullet it can arrest. For us, our eye is lagging 1/10th of a second. The difference in seeing between the eye and the lens makes it obvious that a photographer who merely points the camera at an appealing subject and expects to get an appealing picture may be disappointed. It may not happen. If the subject is very good, beautiful, the photograph will also be beautiful. It may not always happen. Too many factors are to be considered. What are those factors? He or she must familiarize with the characteristics of photographic medium. Its subject, light, depth, all these things, sharpness, color, all these things are important, and the photographer must be acquainted with the terms and the way the photography works. It must have the idea. Otherwise, you cannot do better photography. Points to consider: subject and light on it. Subject, what type of subject? How is the light condition on the subject? And what are the positions and contrastness of the light? All these things are to be considered before we do or make an exposure. It is a very young child is there with a soft morning light, and we can see the subject is also soft, and some careful lady is there to soothe her. This is the subject, and our treatment should also be very soft according to light condition and the subject. Next, this is an old lady. After doing some shopping in the morning, she is going home, and there is a young lady over there at the distance. The difference between these two ladies are depicted here, so that we can follow the differences between them, and their attire also, movement also are also different. The young lady and the old lady. Next. This is the use of a peculiar light, backlight, what we generally avoid to take some shots. Backlight is very useful to make silhouettes of the subjects, and it is used here to make some silhouette figures of the clothes, and one clothes is flying in to join. And this is, we call it president's arrival. This is title of the subject.
Very beautiful title. I like most of the titles, sir. President's Arrival.
Thank you. Thank you. Next. This was taken in Louvre Museum, Paris. It was indoor available light. The shot was taken, and the picture is there on the wall of the Louvre Museum. Next. This is the shot taken in Damdam studio. The indoor arranged light was used. Actually, Benuga was there that time, my guru. He helped me with precise lighting, and actually I can say that the picture was taken by him only. Thank you all. Next. Subject and depth of field. This is also important. First slide. Next. This is the picture of a field, or but no, it has gone. Which field? And some water drops are there on the leaf, and it is the main point of interest. So it is taken in a very sharp condition, and the other behind it or before it are not that sharp. And this is the importance of the subject is shown here, so that by the use of depth of field, you can show it its importance. And next, this is a way of showing the maximum depth of field. The hand in front is very near, and far away there the sea is there, and it's also seen, but this is the maximum depth from hand to the waves of the sea. It is taken. It is a very great depth. Next, here is a bit peculiar use of depth of field. Something is in front of the girl, it is out of focus, and the girl is sharp, whereas the sleeping girl at the back, it is unsharp. So it is the very critical use of depth of field is there. Camera and point of view. These are the points. It is generally used for different lenses and different type of photography. Next. Now it's composition. Composition is a very important thing in our photography. Composition is the placement of the objects in front of the camera, their distances between them, their color, placement, sharpness, all are considered while composing a picture. Let us see what are they.
Well, Sandeep sir, please unmute, mute yourself for a while. Thank you.
The three main points of composing a picture. That is composition, subject, and lighting. These are the three main points. And composition itself is important in case of making the picture. This just as important is the subject, the same importance should be given to composition and lighting. Next. It is actually structure, organization, and visual characteristics of the elements in the picture. Next. Usually they are subject placement, lighting, color, lines and curves, texture, space, balance, etc. There are some guidelines on composition. Respect them as tools, not rules. Next. Rule of third, it is known to all photographers. I am going to bring very details to it. Next. This is a diagonal sense of composition. If both is just going to the sea and its diagonal placement actually show some movement or its progression, and this diagonal line is helping it to view us the sense of motion. Next, this is also these two lines beside the darks are giving us a sense of sense to our eyes that it is we have to proceed to the end point of it. Next, these are the use of curves. The curve of the mother ape and the child, these two forms of things are helping the picture to understand the care taken, and the child is in very safe condition. It is in proper care of her mother, just like that. Thanks. This is a balance. It is also important thing in case of composition. Here the pot at the right side is balancing the whole black background area of the picture. This is the balance of composition. This is symmetry. Another point of composition. These vertical lines of the pillar is giving a symmetry, formation of symmetry of the scene. And the two young boys and boy and girl, they are just balancing the whole picture and breaking this monotony of vertical lines. This is another use of vertical lines in composition and the monotony breaking. Next, this is texture. Texture of the pattern in front of the front area gives a dot, sense of dot it is giving. And after a shower, it is just wet. So This is the composition. This is the say of the picture that there is nothing to end or there is nothing end of it. Next, the old man has gone far away in his life. The font, the foreground gives us a sense of long way as he has passed. This is the next, and this is just opposite. He has crossed some way and he has to. Environment is giving over here what is the environment of living and the path is used to cross. That is the background of the village that is showing. Next.
I like these two image very much, sir, because these two image are saying different story. One from front side and one from back side.
Right. That's it. What we get from a pictorial or creative photograph? The classification of intangible elements. Intangible means what you cannot perceive by touch or by use of our eyes, by your senses. These are the intangible elements that is your feelings, pleasurable. It may be depressing, it may be moving, that it makes us think, or it may be frightening. These are the messages we can get from a picture. It may be pleasurable. Generally, people like pleasurable, moving. These pictures are not very odd. But sometimes depressing, the subject is so depressing that it hurts your senses, and whether you like it or not, that is questionable. That's the thing. And moving is, it moves to your heart in such a way that you may like it or you will come to a solution or not. That it depends on the picture or its message. Next. Is it clear?
Sir.
Next.
Creative photography. Now, friends, I would like to add that after these all knowledgeable, very knowledgeable slides, now we are entering into some spectacular images taken by our sir, Sushanta sir, and he will explain about some of the picture.
Yes. This is a creative photograph.
Yes, yes, wonderful, wonderful.
Indeed.
It was taken in Gopalpur beach.
Gopalpur Sea Beach.
Gopalpur Sea.
Gopalpur Sea Beach.
This is a picture of mother and child with formation on a wood, on a tree. I got it in Calcutta, just beside the Calcutta High Court. This is a picture by Banerjee, his famous picture Mother and Child. Next. And this is, now, how does it come? Next. Oh, there is something wrong. Anyway, this is a picture, this is also a creative picture, and a man is playing his violin in a very distressed condition. And next, that image complemented by the second. We have got two types of images in creative side. One where one image can be completed by the second, or two or three images may form in such a way that it gives that is this that is the, these images are this man this signature with some rotten wood and the shadow and the cloud, all these are making of the same shape are making the picture. So this is the combination images of different subjects. Next, this is the combination complemented by two images.
Can you please go to the previous one, previous photograph?
आगे
This.
बोलो.
Is it created digitally or in manual print?
This is digital.
Acha, it is in digital. Okay.
Whatever pictures you will see after 2004, those are mainly in digital.
Okay.
This is Bully's Mode, the title of the picture. And Bully is my daughter. She was very young at that time, hardly 2 or 3 years. She left her doll on the ground and went there. In his mood.
Sometimes titles says all the characteristics of the image, sir.
Right, that is true. Next. This will be very first picture of Mercy. Now it is not at the right place. Anyway, this is on a tour to North Bengal, the Sandakpur. I got this picture over there. Is it clear? It needs some explanation.
Sir, why the title is disaster in this image?
You see, the houses around him are broken. This is broken, that side also broken, and this also is lost its roof, and he is coming into the picture.
Okay, sir.
Next. His title is Silence.
Sir, some titles are getting truncated. So we are unable to see the titles.
Oh, this is enlarged.
No, it has to be reduced, I think.
To bigger size. There is no control. Is there any control? There should be some control. You should to make it smaller. Then
Okay, I will manage, sir.
Okay. Next.
Sir, can you please explain the philosophy behind this photograph? This
Silence. There is title Silence. Yes.
Please go to the previous one.
This one?
Yes.
Yes.
You see, there is a huge tree at the background. The sound of waves, the sound of water, everything is there. But the fish cannot hear anything out of it.
Okay. How many negatives you have used here? Hello.
Separately, in my this was added to it.
How many negatives you have used here?
Only two.
Only two. Okay.
Sir, can you say what is the name of this picture from?
Silent. Name of the picture is silent.
Actually, it is completely visible in my screen, but if you are not being able to see, then you have to adjust your screen and size. And resolution of the screen. Those who are not able to view the title are requested to adjust the screen resolution because it is completely visible in my screen.
Even in my screen, it's completely visible.
না একটু না এটা একটু ছোট হবে তো এটা ঠিক আছে
হ্যাঁ এটা ঠিক আছে
it is okay.
Some of them are visible, but some of them are not. Anyway, thank you.
anyway do you understand the theme of the picture? There are two courts. This is a burning ghat. This is a burning ghat. There are two courts of at least for the two dead bodies. It was taken in Simultala, Bihar, and one grown-up woman and the child. They are passing away. Canal on the outside of the they are going away and it is a deserted place, crowd is there and we can feel that they are away from the human touch.
Nirupam Saha sir, please mute yourself. Sound is continuously coming from your microphone. Yes, thank you.
Request to explain a bit how you manage to visualize this picture and ultimate outcome, how you managed overall.
This old woman used to stay beside our house. I knew her for a long time, and her expression of her face attracted me, and I thought that I will make a picture out of her. I went to so many Christian ground, burying ground, and saw a lady over there. And she was compelled, I thought, the same lady to include in my picture and ask this woman to act for her. I told this lady that you have lost everything. Now this should be your expression. And this should be your expression, and you are only to pray to God for his support. That is the picture.
Beautiful, sir.
Thank you.
This is a single shot.
Please go to the previous photograph. In this photograph, if we see the tone of the shawl and the background, there is a complete difference. So that type of printing is extremely difficult.
Whatever for a picture, what is possible or impossible, you are not to judge. It is possible for me, that's why I've got it.
To us, it is
I
just
show you
impossible.
some pictures that those are, I have already, that chapter is, you have omitted that picture. There are two types of picture. That is your possible or impossible. That is reality, that is for reality and for
Fantasy.
fantasy. Yes, fantasy or surrealistic. And for surrealism, there are something to say, which is the time is short. Otherwise, I could explain what is surrealism. Then you could understand it.
Thank you, sir.
This is your picture of life and death, or it is titled Eternal Episode. The story of the everyday story. Eternal episode. Death is there, but life is moving on. Just like the same thing of the and life goes on, that picture of the
Burning guard.
burning guard.
Yes, sir.
How many days you spent to create this photograph? First print.
This is a very difficult picture, and I have taken it straight shot. There is no montage, nothing. It is single negative picture.
Okay.
That is difficulty. And how it is made, it will take some time to discuss this thing and explain it to you. Do you like to hear?
Hello.
এটা কি হচ্ছে? আচ্ছা। This is the remembrance. It was in my MPF set. Next. This is titled The Cry. It was taken in Seven Sisters. There are 7 peaks of the hill. It is called Seven Sisters in Dover, England. And this barren ground was there. All the stones from the broken hills are there, and it is vacantness. That is the আচ্ছা এখন থাক। And that vacantness is disturbing this man, and he's trying for it, trying for some other thing. So the impression of the picture is I cannot bear this vacantness, loneliness. That is the theme of the picture.
Beautiful, sir.
Next. And this is also from my interest set. Desire undaunted. Man is dead. He's dead and cremated. Everything is over. But the soul of it tries to come back. Tries to come again in this world. That is, you can say, crawl again to his likeness. This was taken in Kalsari in Odisha. I carried these 2 straightened hands with me and put it on the shore of the sea, and taken this shot. And it was very difficult to adjust the light because sun was going to set. At the time it was darkening every moment, every second. Anyway, I got this picture.
Thank you, sir.
This is a picture called Lost Her Charm. Now her frame or picture is stapled and thrown away. Here she has crossed this frame, that frame, and finally it is out of the picture. That means she has crossed a long way and being used by so many persons in so many ways. Whatever it is. That is the sad end of her life. Next. This is our time. Time passes on, goes on, every second we are aging, our life is increasing, our life is decreasing every moment. ঠিক আছে এটাই হয়েছে। And every moment we are losing life or gaining more life, gaining our age is increasing. That means are we gaining or we losing? That your watch or the clock indicates that. Whether we are gaining our life or losing our life. Next. This is a very difficult montage. My niece is there. She was then 1.5 or 2 years old. And was 2 years old, and I created this picture using a doll and her face in sky as if she is lost. Next. This is history. History, birds are there. They are the messenger of the past. A book is there. It is written everything onto it with the story of Jaisalmer Fort. And it is in the book as well as in the birds, minds of the birds over there. As the pages are moving, as the pages are moving, the birds are also moving. They are flying over there, just like that. Next. This is also a complicated picture, complicated montage. Where 3 images are combined together. What is the...
Can you read out the name of the picture, please?
Dream of a horse.
Dream of a horse.
Thank
is
you.
the title of the picture. A horse, his dream is to move on and on, running in his life. So, as if it is dreaming. And the real horse is passing on, and this on the sea beach. This is sea beach is added over there to indicate his vastness, and the waves are just like the horses dream, and the waves are coming one after another. Next.
Wonderful, sir.
This is also a picture of imagination, where it is a full moon night, and this was a drought at that time, and everything is dry. There was no foliage or any sense of life over there. A tree is almost died. Everything dry. Everything there is loss of light. Only after a shower, little shower, water has come back or not area.
That's why it regained, sir.
Despite,
That's why it is called regained.
that's why it is called again.
This is also in manual print.
This is the title is target. Whose target is which is whose target? The target of the boat is the fish, or the target of the fish is the boat. This is the dilemma. It is actually taken from
Pradeep Rai, please mute.
is it?
ना सर वो प्रदीप राय कोई है उनका आवाज आ रहा है.
Actually, I got the idea from the book Ernest Hemingway's The Old Man and the Sea. And titled accordingly. The target. Whose target is it? Next. In disguise. Here the leaves are not there. Who has taken this? The human being. The drought, this lifeless world is created by human, the man beings only. So we should feel about it. Next. This is the denied freedom. The bird's freedom is outside, not inside a cage. But it is deliberately we have put it in a cage where the outside world is full of light, full of light. Next. This is offer. We have got some eggs, and this egg is not our property. It is the property of the bird. We should give it to the bird back so that some more life can come in our earth. And using that idea, I created that picture. Next.
Beautiful.
Towards solitude.
Oh, excellent.
We are going, every day there is some clash, some riot, some unpleasant things. The man wants to go avoiding those things, because there is a path led by our nature, and we want to change our sin, go to the new place. That is the title towards solitude.
And those who are viewing in mobile, I would like to make them know that there is some footprints in the main highlighted area of the sand.
Right.
I just like to ask how many negatives are used to make this picture?
Yes.
How many negatives are used to make this picture?
1, 2, 3, so far as I can remember. 3 negatives. One for the moon, one for the waterway, and the third for the footprint.
Thank you.
And at what time you have taken this photograph?
It was taken
Morning.
Long back.
No, I'm talking about time. Is it morning or afternoon?
You cannot get the moon in the morning.
Okay.
So I taken it at night around 8:30, and these footprints were taken in the just after the noon time.
Okay.
And during evening, almost in the evening, that water line was taken.
Okay.
So that the outside could be omitted.
Okay.
Next, Ostu. This is indoor lighted photograph made by, I should say, made by Venetian. He actually helped me with the light. I and it started Oslo. The actual reality, her name is also Oslo. And I got the expression of Oslo, that is sadness, from her in this picture.
This silvery effect is excellent. Silvery tone.
Ah, that is good. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent.
Man, this title man. That means human being, real human. When we have got our clothes to decorate ourselves, but this decoration is really needed? Not at all. A hermit or a sadhu is moving on, leaving everything is dress and everything, and you'll find some thickness of the dress. It is heavy. It is just because weighted, what is not needed. Throwing away that dress and moving far away from the reality. That is an imaginative figure here, and through himself he is moving away. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Excellent.
This mud river is Spiti Valley, that is northwest part of India.
Himachal.
Himachal.
Himachal,
Beyond
yes.
Himachal, this is actually beyond Himachal.
Pin Valley.
Spiti Valley.
Ah.
And this is a picture made using a filter, what is named cyclone filter. Everything is moving in a direction. The sun is also moving, and this movement effect is given by the filter. There are two exposures, one for the sun and the other for the earth. Next, lone musician. It is one of my favorite pictures.
Oh, excellent, excellent.
It is also my favorite picture, sir.
Indeed.
Thank you. The man, actually the man was taken in Pokhara, Nepal. And the tree was taken in Pachmari, MP. And the waterfall in Jabalpur. These are the elements of the picture, and these are combined to give a feelings or story to you.
And it was in manual print, totally.
It was manually.
1983. Yes.
Next.
Outstanding tonal quality.
Abundance is the name of the picture. This is also taken in different places. The cloud was taken in Mandaramuni, that is in Bengal, eastern side of Bengal. The fisherman was taken in Chandipur, and the boat was taken in, where it is, I forgot. Gopalpur, maybe. Next. This is another story. It is a very charming picture. I like it.
Another masterpiece.
Okay. The bird is flying away, leaving some eggs on a table. On a table means it is under the control of human beings. They can, if they want, they can use these eggs to nurture it and give some more life. Or they can make an omelette, eat it away. This is the It depends on the human being how to use it, whether they will create more bars or make an omelette. That is it.
Great, sir.
Thank you. Next.
And so, friends, this is the last for the spectacular presentation of our Sushanta sir. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I
Over
have
to
some
you, sir.
color picture also, but those are it will give you some time already today 30. So this night is already very deep and never forget that.
Mukesh sir.
Thank you, sir, very much. I can say in brief, although each and every work, either from analog era or digital era, is definitely mind-blowing, but a few works which I like personally, because liking always differs person to person. Your 1974 work, Eternal Episode, number
Yes.
1, 1991, that is a Towards Solitude, 1984, Desire Undaunted, and 1991 work, Denied Freedom. These four I liked very much, and I can tell you very frankly, sir, we all know montage work is not an easy nut to break. It requires very strong visualization, and the kind of your pre-visualization and post-visualization during analog era is really hats off to you, sir. You have done a great work in the analog era. Now, before I ask a few of our senior photographers to say something about you, I think your son is here, named Akash Banerjee. Are you here, Akash? Akash Neil, are you here?
Yes, I'm very much here.
Yeah, very much, very much. It is our pleasure that you are participating in this webinar. If you feel like saying something about because I saw you were very active to know the visualization behind every frame from your dad. So, will you like to say something about your dad work on montage? Feel free. Over to
Whatever you were seeing, I have been observed those things made in front of me.
Okay.
So I had some questions about every photograph. Every time I see a photograph from him, I have a new question.
Yeah.
That is always there. And to me, my father is my friend, my philosopher and guide.
Okay.
And there are certain new pictures which he didn't display to you, and which he is working still now. And those are also very remarkable to me.
Yeah. Thank you. So, are you inspired with your dad, and are you doing photography nowadays?
I love his photography, and I love the people through his photography. I acquainted with, like Mr. Adit Agarwal and all others.
Okay.
And I am fortunate to have them in my life as a guide, not only in photography, because that is a particular genre of life, but other than photography, they also are guiding me in my life to go ahead.
Okay, very good, very good. Ivy Paul is also here. I think she's your wife.
Yeah, she has joined. I don't know right now she is here.
Okay. Anyway, so now we'll go ahead. Thank you very much, Akash Neil, to be with us tonight and to say a few words about your dad. And now I'll request Anil Risal Singh, sir, because he's also a man who has very strong post visualization, to say something about Sushanta Banerjee's work. Sir, please.
I am always short of words whenever I see these masterpieces of Montuda. His imagination, his philosophy is out of this world. I always admire his images. I am great admirer of his work. And as I have said uh, at the beginning of this webinar, that I always get inspired by his philosophy and image making. These are the only thing. And I again thanks Montuda for able us to see your masterpieces and to know your philosophy about life and death again and again.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so very much.
Wonderful.
And we wish, and from my end, I wish this show should go on.
Yes, Akash Neil, I think you will get also YouTube link will be given to you.
No, my point is that this show from Mr. Sushanta Banerjee should go on from his side as long as he can carry on.
Yes. Certainly we'll look forward. Now I request one more master of post visualization. He is Adit Agrawala, sir. Please, sir, say something about the work of our legendary photographer Sushanta Banerjee.
Thank you, Mukesh ji.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Sushanta da, or more popular and very dear nomenclature for me is Montu da. Montu da was a stalwart, is still a stalwart of not only PAD Calcutta, but entire Calcutta and West Bengal photographer friends look at him as a role model for doing creative photography. Montuda, I used to look at Montuda like my idol. Whenever he used to bring new prints, new pictures, we were all be looking like this. What special theme, what special idea is presented. But at that time, that was 1980s, we never understood what he wanted to say and express. It was much later we came to know his philosophy, and his idea of making prints was very mysterious to us. It is only the, I can say now, if you understand the science of photography, the magic of black and white, and how in black another tone can be represented with full tonal harmony. That is a wonderful concept which we can learn from Sushanta Banerjee. He is still a role model for me. And often I send my pictures to him. Now I am almost 1500 kilometers away from him. But by heart, we are very close to each other. And even now, whenever I have something to ask, something to learn, I send my picture to him and request him, Montuda, please tell me. And he tells me over phone. The type of thinking that he nurtured and developed is something very unique and very uncommon to find. Thank you, Sushanta, for showing your pictures to us and me also. I also happened to see some new pictures which previously I had never seen. Of course, so many pictures I have seen. As your junior pal, I was always there. So many pictures were shot in my presence, but I could never understand what magic will come out. And the magic is here, like this life and death, that picture frame with a skull and two legs in motion. That picture was shot in my presence, but at that time I could never visualize. Later on, when the print came to our PAD, then we saw this is the picture. Wonderful thing. And I am sure his son Akash Neil, whom we used to call as Badshah, he was very famous. Badshah, yes, we used to call him Badshah. Actually, Murtuza also calls him Badshah. I have seen several of his pictures. One picture that Murtuza has presented here, the Badshah's face is hidden in clouds, and down below there is a doll.
Yes.
But if I remember correctly, and Murtuza will please correct me if I am wrong, in the very beginning, the same thing was presented in a different fashion. I think at that time there was a skull, or perhaps skull, the skeleton hands were lying on the floor. But anyway, ideas always change and develop. It's a wonderful presentation, Sushanta. Thank you for showing your ideas to us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Agrawala, sir. Actually, you are the man behind this show, because you always desired that Susanto Dada should present his photographs, and we know, you know very well, we struggled hard to see that his show is fantastic, and today we had a fantastic presentation by him, and we are very much thankful to you and Susanto Da also. Now I'll request my friend Brian Hopper from Ireland.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sushanta, I really enjoyed the presentation. Thank you. I sat here in anticipation of every image, and your insightful description and explanation was very, very, very interesting. I love the quality of the black and white images. Thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian, very much. Anybody else who wants to say something, please come out, because now we'll go ahead and we will invite Joel Sandeep. Anybody wants to say something?
Yeah, Mukesh.
Yeah, please.
I'm Thinesh Kapoor.
Oh, आपको तुम भूल ही गए थे, sir. Sorry.
नहीं, मैं आपको बहुत बधाई दूंगा. A lot of compliments to you for. I could see Sushanta after a long time of 4 and 5 decade old friendship.
Yeah.
A wonderful imagine. I think I had seen each and every photograph previously also, but seeing him today, it's a thrilling experience. I must compliment you and your team, and my regards to Sushanta. We are waiting for you in Kosani sometime.
Sure.
Thank you, Sushanta.
Thank you, Thinesh Kapoor. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, Joel, are you here? Joel Sandeep?
Yes, sir. I'm there.
Yeah. Now, friends, will go ahead with a different kind of technical session with Joel Sandeep, who is a technical officer from Nikon India Limited. Earlier we have seen the presentation by Nikon on the camera only, like DSLR versus mirrorless camera, or the advanced features of mirrorless camera. But today we'll be seeing something different. Even it is maybe new for me also. And his topic is very interesting: basics and verticals of fashion photography. So then immediately I called him. Yeah, Joel, I don't know what is verticals. I know vertical and horizontal, but I do not know what is verticals in fashion. Then he explained me, basically this is e-commerce fashion photography for the catalog shoots, lifestyles, billboards, etc. So today we will see something different, a unique thing in fashion photography from Joel Sandeep from Nikon India Limited. Joel Sandeep, please go ahead.
Sure. So I will just be, sir, you will have to give me permission to share my screen.
Sure. Banerjee da, so देखिए, I'm not able to find his name.
It will be written as Joel Nikon, sir.
I know, but actually.
Hello.
আমার নামটা একদম পারফেক্ট হয়েছে
Because later
Sir, I can locate him, but
Can I send a chat message so that you can be?
I got it. Joel, I got it.
Okay,
Joel, I got it. You can share the screen now.
just a second.
I got it. You can share the screen.
I think it is visible now.
Yes, yes.
Right. So as we were discussing just, a few minutes back before I start the presentation itself, first of all, I think, can others mute your mic, please?
Please mute the mic. Somebody's mic is.
Yes.
Yeah.
So first of all, good evening to everyone. Greetings from Nikon to all of you. And I was just looking at some of the work that Sir had presented a while back. I think Mr. Saurabh, can you please mute your mic?
Let me just hold.
Okay, everybody is muted now.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes. So when I was learning photography, some of the experiences what I'm also going to be sharing, and a quick introduction to me that I've shot for brands like Lee, Levi's, and Flying Machine for their fashion shoots. And I've also studied an international degree in photography with a specialization in fashion. And it is also very interesting for me to see some of the pictures of some legendary photographers on how black and white was so important or monochromes are so important. And as we also evolved from a digital space from a film space to a digital space, I feel that options have become limitless. But however, we all know that the basic foundation of photography still remains the same, and that is something that unites us as photographers. So today, when we are looking at fashion across the world is a very, very broad statement or a broad word to use, because when we look at fashion in India, it is completely different from something that we see in Europe. And fashion in Europe is so much different than something that we see in Australia, maybe. So when we come from a photography perspective, we can start looking photography in different angles. But in today's presentation, what we are going to be looking at is what is fashion photography and what are the different verticals to fashion photography. So what is photography? Fashion photography. So fashion photography itself is a genre of photography which is devoted to displaying clothing and fashion items. So fashion photography is most often conducted for advertisements, fashion magazines, or billboards. So why do we need fashion photography? Again, please remember that fashion photography is not about the model, whether it's female or male. It's not about the person at all. It is about you trying to express the clothing and using the human element to enhance the value of the image. So for example, I shot this image in where we had this particular clothing which looks very comfortable. So when you see the lighting on her face, it is not harsh lighting but very soft lighting. Now, at glance, yes, we can immediately say that maybe it's just 1-point lighting. Why not 2-point lighting, or why not 3-point lighting? So when we look at fashion photography at an amateur level, it is all about, okay, let me get a model, get them some clothes, little bit of styling, little bit of hair and makeup, and then we have a good fashion shot. The answer is no. It is about creating that mood. It is at the end, can I sell the product? So we should always look at fashion photography from a perspective of what the final outcome should be. Is it the cloth itself, or is it the person, or is it a particular product? So when we look at fashion photography, many people think it's just one vertical, but there are few verticals of fashion photography that has developed over the couple of years or even close to a decade and a half. So each of these vertical has become a specialization by itself. The first one is editorial fashion photography. Second is catalog. Third is high fashion. And fourth is street fashion. So each brand, so for example, if you're looking at Flying Machine jeans, now they have a lot of street fashion. They want to show how the jeans is actually portrayed in real life. So you will find people probably working in a mill or working in a quarry, or to show the ruggedness of the particular product. So we are bringing the element of fashion and product and marrying them together. It is not only about the model. So many of them think like, okay, we need to have a celebrity. Now, for example, another well-known photographer, for example, like Dabu Ratnani, who has shot only celebrities. Why do those pictures get more attention than the others? Because there the focus is more on the person itself than the particular product. But if you're looking at true fashion photography where we don't know who the model is, but yet we are trying to build a story around it, we are trying to stitch something around it. So we'll just look briefly because I have 10 minutes. So we're going to cramp in as much as possible into almost like an appetizer. So any questions you'll have, feel free to ask me both now and post the session. So editorial fashion photography is usually feature photographs. So feature photographs as in, for example, the cover shot for a magazine. So let's say there is a fashion magazine which comes out by Vogue. So Vogue models, Vogue Fashion Week, all of this falls under a certain category of fashion. But under that fashion, you have, for example, in the magazine, you have a cover shot, you have a mid cover shot, you have articles, and then you have different things which comprise a particular magazine. So your editorial is basically the image that would sell the entire magazine, or it would sell the entire particular lineup of clothing. So your editorial photograph has both ideation, it requires mood boards, it requires styling. So it requires a team to put together the perfect shot, which will be then sent to a designer or graphic designer who will add text. So when you see this particular image, the picture will not make sense. But when you add text, when you add a little bit of text on the left, right, top, down, that is when the picture will start making sense. So when you're an editorial photographer or you're trying to achieve something in fashion editorial, we do not concentrate only on the photograph, but we also concentrate on the final output.
Wait. Please
Joel, you have muted yourself.
Unmute yourself. Joel, unmute yourself.
Am I audible now, sir?
Oh, yeah, audible.
Yes. So I was mentioning in this particular image, so when we see this on a particular magazine, do we want to buy this looking at the picture or looking at the text? Because anything in this world revolves around visuals. So your visual is something that will attract you to the magazine, and then the text around these images make it a complete image. So in editorial photography, it is the entire package, both of graphic designers adding their element of text. At the same time, your image goes as a supporting image. But at the end of the day, when you walk into a supermarket, you will find 50 magazines. How do you make a particular customer pick up your magazine? Definitely looking at your visual. So when we take an approach to editorial fashion photography, we need to always keep the final outcome in mind. It is not only about the lighting, it is not only about the lenses we use, not only about the model. It is a package which involves every single element of photography, including post-production. So editorial photography is something which is a very, very big market. So why I'm telling that this is a huge market is because every day we see a new clothing brand. Every day we see a new fashion designer. Every day we see a new platform on e-commerce that that people are wanting to sell their clothes on. So it is all about how you represent your clothing. When we open Flipkart, the images are different. When we open the actual website of, let's say, Nike or Raymond's or Zara, the feel is very different. So it is all about, if your product needs to be sold, you need to represent it in a real manner, but at the same time, show something that people would want, because it's all about creating that anticipation, the need, the want. So what is the difference between fashion and editorial fashion? Okay, so when we're looking at commercial fashion itself, it is all about, okay, let me sell the particular product. So where do we see these kind of images? Let's say Amazon, you want to buy a t-shirt. You will just see a white background and you will just see one t-shirt placed against the background, and that is all that you will get. Or you will find a particular model standing against a white background, because the only thing you want to do in commercial fashion is sell the clothing. But when you're trying to sell editorial photography, editorial fashion photography, you're not only selling the clothing, but you're selling a story. You're selling a new trend. You're selling something that people would want to create as a culture aspect. So if I am using this particular picture that I shot on the right, it shows that today in India, people can experiment with different clothing. People can experiment on, opening up with a different approach to fashion. What is common to us may not be common to someone else. What is acceptable to us may not be the same to someone else. So the same way, when we are looking at editorial fashion, it is a trend setting image. It is an image that can change cultures altogether. So a small example would be, when you looked at 90s and 2000s, people actually wore very loose shirts and loose pants, and the images is what makes people dress that particular way. Now when you see, people have changed their clothing. Why? Because the trend is to dress in today's present. So when we look at editorial fashion, it is something that is not only important for you as a photographer, it is important for everyone around you, because you set off a new trend, because that is how important your editorial fashion is. Imagine the power of an editorial fashion photographer. You basically choose how your country should dress, or you basically choose on, what images are actually going to be used as references for every single designer and everyone. So this is a huge role. And when people make this, it is not just about photography, it is about a larger thing, larger than life. That's what we use, the term larger than life. So your images become larger than life. So there are very few images which can actually make it there. So as editorial photographers, we try going there. So some of the images. So if you all have any questions regarding this image, you all can ask. If not, I'll move on to the next image.
I think we can have questions and answers in the end. That's better. Okay.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Continue.
Next, we are going to be looking at catalog. So catalog photography itself is basically information-based photography. So here you're just going to make a model pose against a white background and to show the clothing as much as possible. But again, in catalog, how can you make it more interesting? That is something we need to challenge ourselves. So let's say, for example, if you yourselves are going to be shooting for, let's say, one of these e-commerce brands like Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, Snapdeal, all of these brands, they would just require you to make a model stand against a white background and shoot. But how do we still achieve the element of a little bit of life, a little bit of creativity is important. So in catalog photography, it's usually white or gray, but again, we know as photographers, shooting white on white background and black on black background is one of the toughest, because there's hardly any contrast. So it does not mean that because you're just using a plain background, the image becomes very easy to shoot. If not, it may become even more harder. Sometimes people wear a white shirt on a white background. How do we still show the end of the entire product? So there are challenges to it, but in catalog photography, remember, it is all about, can I see the clothing? Because when I'm buying from a particular catalog, I need to see the clothing, I need to see the texture, I need to feel the material through the image. So that is what catalog photography is all about. And who uses catalog images? Mostly companies that would print these clothing or make this clothing in bulk. So if you're taking like 10,000 pieces or 50,000 pieces, the person whoever's buying, like the distributor or dealer, they will buy catalogs. And catalog photography itself may not be out there, but in every industry, catalog is something that is prevalent, right? Whether you're looking at food, whether you're looking at electronics, and in the same way, when you're looking at fashion catalog, it is very, very important. So these are some of the images that we shot on a catalog. So if you see in this one particular image, you can see the entire chair, which is still white, and the background white, but there is no merging happening. And at the same time, if you look at the girl, yes, she is a point of visual, like, as soon as we see the image, yes, we may see the face, but eventually you are led back to that contrasting dress, which you see from all the way from her thigh till her shoulder level. So when we look at catalog, it's about having even lighting. It's about making that visual alive, because usually shooting white on white can be very boring. But at the same time, you can bring it to life using different poses. You can bring it to life using different emotions, different poses, So these kind of small elements make your picture successful. Because when you just make a girl stand against probably a white background, it may look like a passport photograph. But how do we make it interesting? So that is the challenge in catalog. So there are set rules for catalog, as in there are only few poses. But again, photography and art itself is all about breaking those barriers and rules to create something even better and beyond. So I feel catalog is a very interesting space to look into, and something can definitely be done, especially in India, because it's a growing market. So when we look at photography and development into newer, trends and rules, catalog is definitely one vertical that we have to definitely look out to. And especially with COVID, things are moving online, so you can expect a lot more catalogs to be coming out. So another image of a catalog. Now we'll move on to a another interesting one, which is high fashion. So high fashion, so they usually use it for advertisement. So this one particular picture, the first point of contact, no matter what you see in the picture, is the tick mark, because it is a well-known brand, Nike. So your first point of attraction may be the hands, which, because the color red attracts your eye first, but followed by, it still leads you back to the tick mark. So when you see from a composition perspective, the hand leads you to the tick mark. If you see the other hand, which is cut halfway, the tick mark is still on the same line as the hand. So you will not miss the tick mark no matter what. So when we look at high fashion, they usually feature supermodels, actors, and actresses, because the brand itself works around them. They create an entity around them. So that way, high fashion at the same time can be exaggerated to a certain extent. So exaggeration, how does exaggeration happen? Maybe through post-production, maybe through adding different elements of maybe water, fire, smoke, or whatever it may be. So here, usually high fashion is shot with a lot of artificial light. It's very few situations that they use just natural outdoor light. So we'll just look at few more images. So in this one particular image, I have used a little bit of smoke. And apart from that, I've also copied it using photo editing softwares like Photoshop. I've Photoshopped maybe 5% of it, not much, just 5% of it, just towards the edge of the top right corner, just to finish it off with the smoke. Maybe that's the only part, but still having this element of smoke was different. So why did I use smoke? Because I could have used water, I could have used fire. Because if you see in this particular picture, she's a boxer. So usually boxing and martial arts usually involves a lot of speed. And they say, you need to move like air, that's how fast you need to move, and you need to be light as air. So that is why I've used the element of, air and smoke. So again, remember, with high fashion or any of these fashion images, it is not about just taking a particular person and just pasting them at any platform you want. It is about you using the right things to make it a complete story, right? This is another image. So here I've used a little bit of flour, so white flour mixed with a little bit of purple color, and I've used a high sync flash to basically freeze every single particle that was thrown. So when we're looking at high fashion, it usually involves the use of people and professional models. So why I've mentioned professional models and not just anyone is because I believe that when you're looking at, let's say, if you're a cricketer, you're a professional cricketer and there's an amateur cricketer, or a professional footballer and an amateur footballer. So what they bring to the table is very different. So when you call yourself a professional photographer, I also feel that when you're shooting fashion, especially high fashion, having a professional model changes the landscape of the image, because you might use the best lens out there, best camera body, you may have utmost creativity, but there will be something missing because a regular person may never be able to see the camera like the way a professional model may. So it's always important for us to have the perfect mix and combination to execute something like this. So whether it's a makeup artist or a model, I always prefer to have the perfect team. And again, with high fashion, the world always looks at people as people. So feel free to always explore with models with different colors, different sizes, different ethnicities, different races, because it makes your images more interesting. If you start shooting with the same person or same color, it is something that, yes, it may be your signature, but it also becomes very monotonous. To have high fashion and to have people follow your work, you can explore different techniques too. So a few more images of high fashion.
Joel, be fast because a lot of time is going on.
Yes.
Okay.
So this would be our last slide for high fashion. And in terms of street fashion, it's all about having the particular person in the given location itself. So when you look at this particular person, she's just standing in a park, and how you represent her in the most desirable way. That's what street fashion is all about. So a few more images to represent street fashion. And here, as much as possible, you can use natural lighting. So this is a small presentation just on different verticals of fashion photography.
Wonderful, Joel.
Very informative.
Thank you very much.
No worries, sir.
For describing the different types of vertical fashion photography.
Yes.
For participants tonight. I think we will have more from you in days to come.
Sure, sir.
I will plan something for you because it's very interesting subject. Because I am also into fashion. I have done some catalog shoots. I have done some street fashions and all. But anyway,
Brilliant.
it's
Sure, sir.
interesting to meet you. I never knew that Nikon India has such kind of technical officers with but I'm so happy to meet you.
Sure,
Now
sir.
I think we have crossed 9:10. So I'll request our joint treasurer Sushanta Banerjee to give vote of thanks.
Hello.
Over to Sushanta Banerjee.
Thank you, sir. A warm and cherished evening to all. It is my privilege to propose a vote of thanks and acknowledge our guest of today's webinar, legendary photographer, ex-president FIP, Sri Sushanta Banerjee, who spent his busiest time gracing this webinar. Today, we had the opportunity to know about pictorial and creative photography in such a beautiful manner, and this is definitely going to encourage us and help us in future. Your presentation has enlightened our minds and showed us a new path. We have really been fortunate enough to be a part of this. I express my heartfelt appreciation and gratitude to you, sir. There is always, always, always something to be thankful for. Thank you, Mr. Joel Sandeep, for your enriching session. Joel Sandeep, technical expert, Nikon India. for your enriching session on basics and verticals of fashion photography. I would also like to thank all the eminent personalities present today, Sri Anil Singh sir, Brian Hopper sir, Adit Agarwal sir, Shubhroto sir, Ashok Karn sir, SK Maitra sir, and all the eminent personalities for taking out time from their busy schedules and being a part of this wonderful webinar. I would like to thank our moderator, host, and president, Dhanbad Camera Club, Sri Mukesh Srivastava sir, without whom this webinar would not have been possible. Special thanks to you, sir. Thank you to all the participants and DCC members for being active participants of today's webinar. I lack words for everybody's participation and willingness to be a part of the webinar beyond their comfort zones. Thank you so much. When we give cheerfully and accept gratefully, everyone is blessed. Today, all of us are blessed. Thank you so much and have a great day ahead.